Hey y'all, Robbie Falk here from Humphrey Coliseum. This is a little Talkin Dawgs for you to wrap up the week. It's been a really busy week. Crossover season is here. Mississippi State football, Mississippi State men's and women's basketball is underway. The soccer team got a big first round win in the NCAA tournament. They're advancing to round two and what's been the best season in school history for James Armstrong. So a lot of up and down for Mississippi State. It hasn't been a whole lot of ups for the football team, but huge week for the basketball teams here at Humphrey Coliseum and beyond, and they're both off to great starts. We got the men's team downstairs right now practicing here at the Hump as I finish writing my story from the women's game today. Mississippi State women get a 84-45 win over Jacksonville State to complete a 3-0 week in women's basketball, and all three of those games played here at the Hump. Of course, the men, you saw them with a very impressive win over Arizona State. They dominated that ball game against a Power 5 opponent that went to the NCAA tournament last year. And then a big win on Saturday for Mississippi State men over UT Martin. They're 2-0 so far. Let's go into a little bit about those two teams and kind of break down what we saw so far this week. I was able to see the men in one of those games. I watched the other one on TV, obviously, and I covered two of the three women's games. So it was a really big week for both of those teams, and we'll start with the men. Coming into the week, no Tolu Smith, your potential SEC Player of the Year. No Shaq Moore, who is one of the state's best starters. Two starters out. Tolu Smith out. We knew that. He was going to be out for at least the non-conference portion of the schedule, and we don't really know when he's going to return. He's down there right now sitting on the bench. He's not even out of a boot yet, so it's going to be a while for him. But Shaq Moore was suspended for the first two ball games. We still were not told by Chris Jans if that is indeed the case, and it is going to be two games. He didn't offer any kind of comment on that, so we're not really sure yet exactly if that is going to stay the course, but we'll obviously monitor that. And Justin Frommer covers our men's team full-time, so he'll be on that news. But without those two, without Keyshawn Murphy, who's also injured, who is a guy that's going to play a lot of minutes off the bench, you really didn't know what to expect coming into this ball game for Mississippi State. They're going up against, and we're talking about the Arizona State game, by the way, they're going up against a team that is full of new transfers. Only two major contributors were back for Arizona State from that NCAA tournament team. So you really didn't know what to expect in that game. And in the first part of the ball game, it looked a lot like what we saw last year with Mississippi State with, some droughts in the offensive end, but they were just so stifling on defense, and that was a major issue for Arizona State. Suddenly, Mississippi State started hitting three-pointers. Trey Fort came out, hit 4 or 5 three-pointers in the first half. Guys were knocking down shots, and State built that lead, and there was just no chance for Arizona State to get back in the ballgame. Just a really impressive game without two starters, without three total major contributors in the game, and you got big contributions from Trey Fort, who was named the MVP of the Barstool Classic, with a huge game there. And Jimmy Bell, I thought, was really good in the post with the absence of Tolu Smith and also Keyshawn Murphy. So it was a huge win, and they got a chance to come home and play in front of the home fans without those players. And I thought Saturday they were even more impressive against UT Martin. 13 three-pointers after hitting 10 the previous game, I'm sorry. So 23 three-pointers in the first two games. And I'm going to put this into context. Mississippi State had one game in 2021-2022 where they hit 10 or more three-pointers. That was the second game of the season. That was November of 2021, the last time Mississippi State had 10 or more three-pointers. They didn't have any last year. 0. They averaged, I think, 5 a game. So this team did not have a single game last year with 10 or more three-pointers. They now have 2 this year. So they've had more games with 10 or more three-pointers in the first 2 games of the season than they did in the previous 2 seasons combined. That is remarkable. And Chris Jans has been harping on this. His team's going to be better. And he joked yesterday there's no way for them to be any worse than what they were last year when they were last in the country. But this team is significantly better from three-point range. And as he said, they're going to shoot a lot of three-point shots. That's just what Chris Jans' teams do. But this year they should be able to make them. Trey Fort can hit them, and Josh Hubbard can hit them. I think in time Andrew Taylor is going to be able to hit him. He's kind of struggled coming out of the gates, but I think he's going to be a contributor for this team. Shaq Moore can hit some three-pointers. Deshaun Davis. I think this team's going to be significantly better on the offensive end. And what does that do for a team that was in the first 4 in last year and in position to win a lot of ball games that they didn't win. What does that do for this team? That pushes them over the hump, so to speak, and makes this team a significantly better team, and it should be an exciting season for them. So, I think it's going to be a team to really get excited about this year, especially when Tolu Smith gets back and Shaq Moore's back pretty soon. I mean, this team's going to be tough to deal with because they don't have their stud in the post right now, and they're still starting to perform at a pretty high level down there. Guy Chol was great, had double digits off the bench on Saturday. I think this team's going to be really good. I really do. I like the pieces there. And we saw one of the biggest non-conference crowds that we've seen in quite some time. I think over 7,000 at the game on Saturday. This fan base is starving for success. With the football team being what they are, this fan base just wants to have a winning product and something. I think they're going to have it in men's and women's basketball. So if you haven't come and seen these two teams play, and especially, come and seen the men, you've got to do it. They're fun to watch. They get after it on the defensive end, one of the best defensive teams in the country. And now they've got a team that can score from outside. This is a dangerous team, I think, when it's all said and done. So something to get excited about, I think, following this team. I think they're back in action. I don't have a schedule on me. I believe it's Tuesday that they'll be back in action, and I apologize for that. You guys can go look it up on Hell State. But they'll be back here pretty soon, and it's going to be fun seeing them get on the court again. And I'm really excited to see what this team looks like when the season really gets going. Everybody's got their roles fit. Everybody is healthy. Jaquan Scott went down with an injury on Saturday, so he's not healthy right now. He's not practicing currently. So, that's something to watch there. And I think, having everybody healthy and everybody in the ball game and everybody kind of building that camaraderie is only going to make this team better. I think the same thing for the women. They had a big win today, 39 points, I guess, winning that ball game. They dominated the other 2 ball games they played this week as well. Started off the season against Alcorn State, blew them out. Played on Friday night. Who did they play on Friday night? Southeastern Louisiana, who I think is actually a solid team. Went to the NCAA tournament last year. They won their conference, and they lost to the eventual runners-up nationally in Iowa. So that's a good team. That's a team that's been weathered. They played a lot of good opponents over the last couple of years, and they challenged Mississippi State, especially on the defensive end. State struggled with them in the first half and then started pulling away in the second half. We saw a big game from Debrisha Poe in that game. We're starting to see a lot of different players step up. Miracle Shepherd was really good today. She started her first game of her career as a true freshman, came in there, got 14 points, 4 assists. Jacarla Jordan had another good game, 16 points today with 4 or 5 rebounds. I think Aaron Barnum had 10 points, 8 rebounds. So Jessica Carter had 12 or 14. Darian Rogers had 10 points. So it was a really good ball game today for Mississippi State. They were kind of slow out of the gates too, the women. Really kind of struggled getting the offensive flow going. Jessica Carter got in foul trouble early, and I think that kind of disrupted the momentum for them. But the third quarter, they scored 30 points and blew out. Who did they play? I'm an idiot. Jacksonville State. I'm losing my mind. This has been a long week. Blew them out in the third quarter. I thought it was a really good third quarter for this team to get that confidence. And the entire fourth quarter was all bench players with the exception of Miracle Shepherd who played. So this team's starting to find its role a little bit. Players moving into different roles. That, like I said, Miracle Shepherd started today over Lauren Park Lane for the first time, and they don't quite have like all the lineups set, who the players are to really count on just yet. It's kind of just whoever's the hot hand is popping in and out. And another thing to consider, Romani Parker went down with a knee injury on Friday night. Sam Purcell doesn't have an update just yet, but it didn't sound good on her prospects of playing the rest of the season. I think it's going to be doubtful that she returns with a knee injury. They're going to get an MRI on Monday and get the final word on that, but right now it doesn't look too good for her. She was behind the bench on Sunday, really looked kind of dejected, and you feel really bad for her. She was set for a good season, coming off the bench and giving you a really nice piece there, veteran piece in the post that is really athletic, can step out and shoot the three. They're going to have a player like near Montage and Goney coming off the bench. They're going to have those players really step up. And Aaron Barnum obviously is a huge pickup for Mississippi State at this point. To have her in there and have the two bigs in there with Jessica Carter and Aaron Barnum. So big win for the Bulldogs. They're 3-0, 3-0 start at home. They got one more home game before they go on the road next week. They will play the Privateers of New Orleans on Wednesday, 11 a.m. tip-off in that ball game. It's a kids' day here at the Hump. I'm told there's going to be 30 schools here for that, so that's going to be fun. A lot of kids will be here and create a different kind of atmosphere and doing it at 11 a.m. So that's a little bit different ball game for Mississippi State. They've played in some of those before. I don't know how many they've had here. I think Vic Schaefer might have had a couple of those one time. It's been a long time since they've had one of those, but like I said, they've played in a few of those games over the years, and it can get a little rowdy in here with all those kids screaming and things like that, but it's a fun time. So tune in to that on Wednesday. All right, I'm not going to really go into much football. I did that last night. If you guys want to go get my thoughts on that, I've got a reaction video that I recorded the second that the final snap was taken in that ball game against Texas A&M, just a debacle. And as we know now, Jimbo Fisher's been fired at Texas A&M, so Zach Arnett is still employed. That's been a topic of conversation, and a lot of people are ready to move on from that, but nothing has happened so far with Zach Selman and Zach Arnett. It appears he's going to at least finish out this season as of right now, but nothing's happened just yet. But Jimbo Fisher was terminated today, going to get a $76 million buyout. Unbelievable what Texas A&M did there. He wins that ball game 51-10 last night and still gets fired. Pretty incredible. But that's where things are. So I had a big reaction video on that. You can go back and watch that if you guys want to. But for now, I'm going to sign off from here at the Hump. It's been a fun week, a 4-0 week here in Humphrey Coliseum for the men and the women. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more home wins here this season for these two teams. So we're excited for basketball season. I'm ready to turn the page on football. It's been pretty taxing this year. I'm ready to move on from that and get into hoops because these two teams are really exciting. I hope you guys can come out and see them. All right. Appreciate you guys. Check out our coverage over on 247 Sports. Pick up a Starkville Daily newspaper if you're in town and read some articles in there. We got some great local coverage of Starkville high school teams and the surrounding area, and then, of course, Mississippi State in there. So pick up one of those, support local journalism, and also go support us over there at 247. We'd really appreciate it. And subscribe to this YouTube channel if you don't mind. I really appreciate that. Our numbers are really going up, and I appreciate all you guys for tuning into this and sitting here and watching me ramble from time to time and forget things and say stupid stuff and things like that. So I really appreciate all the support there and for all you guys for tuning in when you can. All right, hope you guys have a great week coming up. We'll holler at you down the road.